Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this afternoon, Bunting decries a lack of enough service vehicles at some police station. Opposition spokesman on citizen security and productivity, Senator Peter Bunting, has called on the authorities to address the pressing issue of inadequate and non-working service vehicle at some police stations across the island. The shortage, according to Bunting, is negatively impacting the ability of officers to perform their duties effectively. In his address at the recent 81st Annual Joint Central Conference of the Jamaica Police Federation at Hilton Rose Hall Hotel in Montego Bay, St. James, the senator pointed to police stations in South Manchester, for example, as having only one vehicle each, which are often old and unreliable units. I can speak firsthand of visiting police stations in South Manchester, Alligator Pond, and Asia police stations, for example, which have a single unreliable, older vehicle to cover vast areas, Bunting said. He added that such stations house prisoners. When there are no working police vehicles there, it exposes the officers to liability, the senator reasoned. To that end, he reiterated his call for the matter to be addressed, which he said would bolster the effectiveness of members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Vehicles are a force multiplier. The lack of sufficient and efficient service vehicles is a critical issue that significantly impacts the ability of basic policing in many divisions, and it undermines the public trust and confidence in the JCF, Bunting stated. FID warns some developers washing dirty money, but stresses Jamaica doing better than many other countries. The Financial Investigations Division's Principal Director of Investigations, Keith Darian, is cautioning property buyers to avoid doing business with newly established developers who are using real estate as a way to launder proceeds of crime. He stressed, however, that while it is an issue that needs to be addressed, it is not a major problem that requires additional resources, and Jamaica is seeing fewer cases than other countries. Be careful of developers who ask you to pay cash for property. That's one of the biggest red flags. Secondly, be extremely careful of a quick, low-priced deal. It might be a telltale sign that it's dirty money he used, and he's just willing to make a small profit in order to launder the proceeds of crime. Those two are the major telltale signs, Darian told the news. The purchaser is actually committing an offense by paying in cash over $1 million. That is prohibited under law, but unscrupulous developers do encourage them to do this so that they will get the price of the property much cheaper. Pay cash, pay early, that's very risky, he warned. The FID investigator stressed that while there is no issue with reputable developers, the law enforcement agency is concerned with some of the more recent entrants to the market. The majority of the large established developers are very legitimate in their activities that they do. Where we have concerns are the newbies, where we have doubt about the source of funds that they're using for their projects. Those that we have suspicion around, we continue to do our investigation with the hope that we can get sufficient evidence to put them before the courts to determine if they are guilty of money laundering, said Darian. He explained that construction is attractive because the cash-intensive nature of the business makes it one of the easiest ways to launder money. A developer who pays dirty cash for material and labor may attract a buyer who then legitimately applies for a mortgage. This washes the dirty money. Once you get the proceeds from the mortgage, it is in the bank account and it seems to be from legitimate activities. So it is one of the concerns that we have, Darian told the news. In other cases, he said, individuals involved in crime bypass real estate dealers or brokers and purchase property directly from developers who are legitimate but have no legal obligation to determine the source of buyers of funds. The legitimate developer is not going to tell them, I'm not going to do business with you, or I am required to conduct a customer due diligence on you. They will just accept the money that they are paying for the property, and the money gets washed in that way as well, said Darian. While real estate salesmen and realtors are trained, registered, and licensed by the Real Estate Board and are legally bound to take clearly outlined steps to prevent money laundering within the industry, developers only need to be registered, and the registration is required only if they are building more than 5 units or if they are putting up an additional development, no matter the size and whether the previous one has been completed or not, within another 24 months. At last year's FID conference, then manager of the Inspectorate of the REB, Commission of Strata Corporations, Akil Pladley, described this as a huge loophole that needs to be addressed. The board is currently not authorized to monitor real estate developers, and the reason for that is the wording of the designation orders indicates practitioners that are licensed. Real estate developers are not a granted license, they are registered. As a result, they are not considered reporting entities, he told his audience in a February 2023 speech at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. He then explained that the REB and the FID were working on a fix. We are now taking steps to make some recommendations for legislative amendment. Sometime probably throughout 2023, you will be hearing about a merger of the Real Estate Board, the Commission of Strata Corporation, and they are now working on shared communities. So we'll have the Real Estate Authority of Jamaica coming out. The one body covers all real estate entities. In looking at that legislation, the gaps that exist, where anti-money laundering, counter-financing of terrorism, monitoring of developers is concerned, it is being considered, said Pladley. Last week, Darian was unable to provide any update on those efforts, and Pladley is no longer with the REB. Efforts to get an update from his successor were not successful up to press time. However, it appears from job listings made by the REB that efforts to establish the REAJ are underway. Government exploring strategies to ease overcrowding in local jails. Deputy Prime Minister and the National Security Minister, Dr. Harris Chang, has announced that the government is considering alternative solutions to manage low-risk prisoners to alleviate overcrowding in lockups at some police stations. This comes as a response to concerns raised by a corporal during the Jamaica Police Federation's 81st annual conference last week at the Hilton Rose Hall Hotel in St. James. The issue relative to overcrowding in police lockups across the country has been a long-standing one, with police personnel, attorneys, and the civil society groups being among those advocating for improvements to the situation. Persons held in lockups too have also detailed their experiences on social media and via the traditional media, during which they complain of cells being infested with cockroaches and other pests. The corporal from St. Andrew highlighted the severity of the situation during the conference, stating that his division's jail is gazetted for 15 persons, but currently holds 26 persons on remand, with an additional 15 individuals, totaling over 40 persons. In noting the challenges, Chang said while the government has focused on other priorities, the issue is now gaining attention from the constabulary, the judiciary, and the senior police officers, and so all stakeholders have to now focus their attention on solving the problem. In fairness, and to be blunt with you, usually we don't see the jail space as the first priority, but we do keep them in good order, Chang claimed. It's about keeping them sanitary and clean, but we haven't gotten about building additional jail space in the lockups as opposed to prisons in the correctional service, he admitted. Chang suggested that community service with electronic monitoring could be a viable option to reduce overcrowding in jails, but stressed that research and planning are necessary to implement such a system. The goal, said the minister, is to separate hardcore criminals from less offensive ones and explore alternative methods of monitoring and holding those criminals who he labeled as being less offensive. I think that the route we'll have to go is to begin to use other means of monitoring the wrongdoers, especially those who are not what you call high-value risk criminals, he stated. Still, Chang underscored the need for a comprehensive approach, including potentially constructing more space at the police stations for lockups to address the problem. It may mean constructing more jail space, and that will take a little time, but we will have to move on it aggressively, Chang stated. The issue of how to build the lockups is an ongoing debate, which I hope we can resolve quickly, but certainly the quality of the lockups we have will still have to be addressed immediately. A way must be found to ensure that they are safe enough and that people cannot just walk out of them, and then we blame the officers who were on duty. That's a commitment I give to you, and we will work to get that done, Chang indicated.